I'm Eggy Drago.
I am the cream of the crop. I am the yolk on top.
I'm a part-time video store clerk, a part-time brawler, oh yeah, and a full-time human being. Wow. When I went to Tokyo back in February 2024, I went to an idol concert on a whim because my VTuber Oshi, who graduated, was into that scene. Needless to say, I got hooked. We bought way too many checkies. So much so that we have 2 checky books. 2 checky namakons. All hail the checky namakan. After talking to a few idols, I realized every single one of them has a story, be it why they chased this dream, their ups and downs, and even their future after all this. And that's what I'm here to do. Learn more about the idol culture, the various scenes around the world, and to give them a platform to tell their stories. Every idol has a dream and a story to tell. This is IDOLEYEZ.
We live? Oh, yeah, we are. Hello. Welcome to IDOLEYEZ. This is the #1 idol podcast on the planet Pluto. I am not Eggy Drago.
Hey, don't open with a self-deprecating statement.
No. I love Pluto. Pluto's legitimately one of my You know what? Pluto is still a planet. I don't care what Neil deGrasse Tyson says.
Okay, I never said it wasn't a planet. I just said the smallest of the planets.
No, I love Pluto. Anyway, this is the #1 idol podcast on the planet Pluto and potentially planet Earth. I am not Eggy Drago. To me. I am Ando. I am filling in for Eggy while he is in Japan / the Philippines. Which he's literally flying back to the Philippines as we speak, I believe. Ando, make Ray louder, dog. I thought you were... Okay, I guess we need to make you louder.
We need to make me louder, and we literally... I thought we fixed this problem. This is exactly what I was worried about. Believe it or not. For the viewers, Ando and I literally, as soon as we got on the call to do this, one of the first things out of my mouth was, "I'm worried that I'm not going to be loud enough." And lo and behold, that is what has happened here.
All right, is very good now. Chat, please.
Yeah. Let's see.
Please. Someone? Hello?
Help! Police! Help!
Oh, now you guys go quiet. Fine. Okay.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
yeah.
Problem.
Yeah, of course.
He's alright. Ashes says he's alright. So.
All right. You are. Anyway, for those of you new to IDOLEYEZ, this is a weekly or bi-weekly. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do it. So this is a podcast that covers idols and the idol community, everything from Chica idols to Kaga idols and everything in between. And the community part is, again, going to be very pertinent to this episode specifically. If that sounds interesting to you, please tune in every week or whenever I do it, right here on twitch.tv/EggyDrago. If you have to dip or if you miss part of it, you can catch the VODs either the next day or the following day on youtube.com/@IDOLEYEZ101. Please follow Eggy Drago on Twitter and Instagram and all other types of socials for his JP trip updates, which is just him showing off literally a million crazy fantasy checkies, but also
yes.
also
for part 2, then he's gonna come home with 2 million. So
yeah, they might have to tariff the checkies at this point.
I believe it. Right there, we were talking before. They're gonna open his suitcase and be like, "Dude, what is this?"
But yeah, if you want to keep up on how many checkies Eggy has or when the next episode of IDOLEYEZ is, please stay tuned to his socials. All right. Now we got that spiel out of the way. Now into the meat and potatoes of the show. So, our guest on today's episode of IDOLEYEZ, episode 40. He is a music producer in the Kaga idol scene, working with artists such as Interlunium, Stardust Passion, and some guy named Aiden. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if people have ever heard of him.
Yeah.
They're an avid cosplayer. And also, like, you'll have to explain this to me later. How you ended up in like the Juliet Cash circle of
Oh
friends.
my goodness, of course. Yes, dude, literally I would talk your ear off about that because that group of people, those are my best friends.
Oh,
Like I've known those people since high school.
that's crazy. All right.
Yeah, so there's some good eggs.
And they are the leader of Miracle Beat Dance, a cosplay idol group, and a member of Mirai Beat Coast, J-pop, K-pop dance cover group. Yeah, so triple threat: produce music, cosplay, uh, dancing. Please welcome
Yes.
my good friend Ray. Yay!
I am very excited to be here. I've had my eyes on Idolized from afar.
Ha!
And I am very excited to be here. Just because I love the Kaigai Idol community. And in recent years, my life has kind of been doing this. So,
Same.
in how my life was back when I was in like high school and college, really doing a lot of idol stuff, it's not the same. So, a lot of my focus now has been, doing what I can do. And like
Mhm.
the only thing that I can do is what I can do. Um, but I mean, I'm thugging it out.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
All right. So to get this show on the road, I guess just this is me. This is the one I ask everyone. But
Yes.
your first exposure to Japanese music. How
My
did that
first
happen?
exposure to Japanese music. So there's two answers that I could possibly give to this. And I'm going to give both of them. The first one, I was probably say 9 or 10. This was around the time that Pokemon Black and White had just come out.
Oh my dude, you're
And
aging me right now.
sorry,
I,
pal.
rem-
Sorry.
I remember when I remember when Black and White came out, dude. I was in high school.
So I was a wee youngin back when this happened. Um I came across one of the ending songs to the Black and White anime, which just so happened to be by Momoira Clover Z.
Oh,
So that, and that wasn't my, pipeline into idols specifically, but I very vividly remember that was like the first Japanese song I had ever heard. Um but the real answer obviously uh this lady.
ah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people like
Unsurprising,
their
yeah.
first exposure definitely.
Their first exposure is Miku, but for me, it was like two things happening at once because not only was that my first exposure to Japanese music, but it also, I mean, because of the nature of what Vocaloid is, sort of gave me kind of an in to like learning music production,
Ah. I mean,
which,
yeah, because it literally because that's the
yeah,
thing is that like people just I feel like most people only really know like Miku as it's like that funny anime girl that sings in a robotic voice, not realizing this is actually like a software that you can make your
right.
own
It's,
songs with.
it's the way that I explain it to people is if you sat at a computer and you looked at a vocal synthesizer software, everything would kind of make sense. Like visually, compared to other like music composition programs like digital audio workstations, um like functionally it is the same. So you're gonna see a lot of, the same sort of controls, patterns, stuff like that. And even between like different vocal synthesizer programs, they look the same, but because functionally they are the same,
Yeah,
just the sound that comes out of them, is gonna be a little different depending.
yeah. I mean, I haven't messed around too much with like digital audio workstation stuff. I mean, there
Yeah.
was a there was a time in my life I tried just because like I really
Mm.
got into I was really into like future funk and I was like, I want to make future funk too. And then I
Yeah.
downloaded something and then I was like, okay, never mind. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen. I am no stranger to it. I feel like a lot of where my obviously a lot of my inspiration comes from Vocaloid, that kind of stuff. But a lot of where I really was kind of able to hone the craft, truthfully, it was just a lot of trial and error. Just like, for lack of better terminology here, fucking around until I like something, basically.
Like that. Honestly, that's how I learned photography. That's how I
Yeah.
learned. I don't know, like a bunch of things. In all honesty, it's just
Right. It's just another thing to learn. And I have met people who, since I've known them, they began, tinkering with digital audio workstations. Um and they stick with it, and by like, months pass, maybe a year or two pass, and just the elevation of skill in a craft like that will become very clear with time. You obviously just have to like lock in.
yeah, definitely. Um. Oh, before we move on, I was curious too. Like, so we got the Japanese music side of
Yes.
like your origin story.
Mhm.
How did you fall down the K-pop rabbit hole?
I thought you'd never ask.
Sorry,
So
Eggy.
this
This might turn into a K-pop
this
podcast.
is
I'm
gonna
sorry. My truly Daebak instincts are kicking in.
truly Daybach and Idolized Love Child tonight.
Yeah.
So my first exposure to K-pop, um, this is gonna be a deep cut for you. Are you familiar with a girl group by the name of Glam? So I became a fan of Glam because I was a fan of Vocaloid, and um, no, I don't actually know if you know this. The very first Korean Vocaloid that ever released, "See You," is voiced by a member of Glam. Imagine this. Yeah, you know what? I believe it. We gotta see you in chat. Yeah, I will never forget see you for as long as I am alive. Listen, if there were ever somebody to love on all of like those deep cut, like, I don't want to say unpopular because it's like they do have their niches. But the ones that aren't the Mikus of the world,
Yeah.
if there was ever somebody to love on those vocal synths, it's me.
Makes sense, but
Yeah.
so basically Vocaloid is like the root of all.
Yes, Vocaloid is the inception of, the person that I have become today. All of that really started with Vocaloid. And before you ask, yes, it was that one concert video of World Is Mine, because it always is.
I mean, me too. Like that like
Yeah,
the first time I ever even I mean, I'd heard of Miku, but I didn't understand what Vocaloid was, and then I saw that clip and I
right.
was like, "Oh wow, wait.
It
Hold
was
up,
like,
that's
oh,
hype."
this, yeah, yeah. It's a universal experience for everyone. I do know people whose first exposure to Vocaloid was other things, but always somewhere there is that video.
It's just like it's just permanently in the algorithm at this
No
point, right?
matter no matter what you do, that video will always be there. Whether you want it to or not, it's coming.
Yep. I mean, yeah, definitely. Like I think, or one of my speaking of Truly Daybach, one of my co-hosts, yeah, he found Miku before he got into K-pop. So same
Yeah.
sort of thing. Like
Yeah,
you'd be
same sort of
surprised at like
vibe.
how much it opens your ears or opens your eyes to just
Opens are
like,
yeah. No, and I think because that happened to me so early. I had just gotten into Vocaloid. So the Vocaloid thing was happening. And as that was happening simultaneously, the K-pop thing starts to happen.
mm,
And the K-pop thing, I kind of, came and went, came and went, came and went. Even now, compared to like how I am with J-pop, I'm more casual.
mm.
But I mean, I feel like when I, want to peel back like music production and I really want to just like listen to sounds, K-pop a lot of times is my go-to because you just peel back those layers and every listen, there's something you didn't hear the last time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even with songs that I've heard like maybe 100 times, or I've heard for like since like
Years and years and
college.
years.
It's just like, wait, was that
Right.
there? Or like, and for me especially, like sometimes
Mhm.
like the live mix of a song, like just the way, like not even like vocals, just the instrumental might be different
Right.
in like a live concert than they would on
Yeah.
like the studio recording.
Yeah, I feel like, the environment is also a very important part of like consuming, music. Because if, listening to it out of a phone speaker versus listening to it out of, a headphones versus listening to it out of like the speakers in your car versus like you're underneath a big speaker at a concert happened to me a couple weeks ago at Phantom Sita. I was literally I
Oh
was
God, that's where you were.
standing I yes, that's where I was. I was standing directly under that big speaker. The guy with all the green pen lights who kept screaming Hisui,
Yeah.
that was me.
Wait, that was you.
That was
Wait, I was
me.
just like, wow, that guy really likes his sewage.
Yes, that was me. I do really like Hisui. So that's why I did it. And
Valid.
let me point out, she noticed more
Oh,
than once.
oh,
And obviously I know probably because of like their, I don't want to say the bit, but like the bit. She couldn't like look at me and be like, "Hey," which like I get, but every time I do it, I'd see her smirk a little, and I'd be like, "Fuck
yeah, no, like that. I actually enjoyed that the most. Is like they were definitely very, like I was surprised at how locked in they were at the beginning, but then they
yeah."
started to like loosen up towards the end.
And they
Because
started,
obviously,
yeah,
like American crowds are way different than Japan.
they are, and in fucking New York, no less.
Yeah, New York, we're
If
like
you want to put
off the
you want to
ball.
put some screaming people in a room, take them to New York.
Yep.
Right.
All right, so going back to producing music, did you have any like musical background prior to learning to produce? Like, were you playing instruments, like singing?
I
Or
did, yeah. So I growing up as a very very young child, I actually was in music therapy as a
oh,
toddler. And that, it stuck with me for a while. So when time came to join like the school band, I was like, "Oh yeah, I definitely want to do this." And my instrument of choice was percussion. And I stuck with that from the 4th grade until I was a senior in high school. Um, and when I got to college the first time, um, I switched my instrument from percussion to voice.
mm.
So, it was I had been wanting to learn, like actually learn to sing for a while. I would listen to songs and I would sing them, but the only thing I really knew was to imitate what I was hearing.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean that's
like
usually
that
how
can
most people
only
start. Yeah.
right. And I know that it's not like an isolated experience, but with that you can only do so much.
Mhm.
So and it's a lot of classical, things that I have to sing for my voice lessons. But lucky for me, I love classical music. Um and I, stuck with that. Um got my associate's degree in music production, and now I am back in school for, get this, studying to be a music therapist.
Oh, I mean, like I know music therapies as just as a concept has been relatively new, or
Yeah.
it's it hasn't taken as much hold as other forms of therapy. But yeah, no, that's cool. Like, my
Yeah.
sister is my sister's a school psychologist, so she works with a lot of
Ah,
children.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she
Yeah,
like
right.
I can definitely understand how like music especially can help people overcome certain
Right, of course. And this
conditions.
is I don't remember if I said this before or after we started. Sometimes, when I'm listening to music on my own, how I am feeling will, determine what music I listen to. Because sometimes, like I said before, like Dempagumi Inc., for example, like the highest BPM, craziest sounding Dempagumi Inc. song, if I want to cry my eyes out, I don't know if that's the song that I would listen to. I don't know if that's the song that would solve that problem.
Yeah,
They do have
yeah.
songs that would solve that problem. That's not that one.
Oh yeah, I mean, like yeah, there's all this sort of stuff related to music and mood and like
Right.
emotion and color. Like
Yeah.
a certain person that I've never heard of named Aiden. making an entire album based on.
I do
Oh,
know a thing or two about this, and I do know a thing or two about that album.
yeah. Uh, Anyway, so going deeper into your like
Yes.
production style,
Yes.
uh, so once you were able to like refine that, like how do you go about producing a song? Just to put it that generally.
Okay, so usually my the very first thing that I like to do is I'll scroll through like a sample library, loop library, so I can pick like a starting point.
Mm,
You know, if I get a starting point that I really, really like, then that's when I can like, flesh it out, build kind of around it. I feel like if I were to describe the way that I produce music, it's like I start with something tiny and then I slowly expand it. Because it starts as one track and then it starts as two and then three and then four. And then by the time, I blink sometimes and song's done. But, there is, like I said before, there is a little bit of trial and error that comes in that. Because with a sample, the problem is you only have so much power over that sound. So you gotta, it's like you gotta build around it, basically.
mm, yeah. Um, that's interesting though. Like building around, because usually most people think of sampling or like utilizing samples with like hip hop music
Mhm.
or very
Yeah,
specific niche types of music, but
right.
a lot of different genres actually start with samples or interpolations or
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. I have used like loops and stuff before. But as far as like sampling and interpolation, um, I know that we're not at this part in our lineup yet. I do have a super secret project that I have
Hey, yo.
interpolated. I have interpolated an overseas idol song into. Um, and the snippet of it is the one that you have heard.
Oh yeah,
So I'll once we play it,
nice
then I
tease
will
though.
reveal what song it is. Yes,
Yeah,
nice song.
tune
It's a
in,
nice
tune
tease.
in. Don't
Tune in.
don't touch
Yes,
that dial.
yes.
So do you have, I know you've spoken like a bit about it, but like what are specific like artists and like maybe producers that really helped you sort of discover and influence your production style?
Of course. So my kind of inception into like producing music, I, during late middle school, early high school, I was very active in the vocal synth cover scene. So, I knew people, obviously. And right at like the turn of, literally like when I installed FL Studio on my computer, I had the opportunity to at Castle Point Anime Convention 2016.
Oh god. What?
th-
It always starts at Castle Point, huh?
Yeah. There was a Vocaloid panel with a bunch of Vocaloid producers. There was Crusher P of Echo fame. Creep P was there. There were a couple voice providers, cover artists that were there. And it was like all people that had heard of.
Mhm.
So I'm in this room with all of these people, and this is the craziest, shit in the world for me. Like all of these people that I never like ever thought I would get to speak to, let alone meet in real life, and now all of them are in front of me at the same time. So I feel like for where, my start with producing began, I have, Crusher P, Creep P, Circus P, trying to think of like other overseas like Vocaloid producers. But yeah, a lot of it, comes from Vocaloid, like Deco Nina, Rio Supercell.
Yeah.
I don't tend to do a lot of like the rock sounds that like they are more well known for. But as far as like pursuing it as like a thing that I wanted to do, that definitely, was a huge sort of like kick in the pants for me to go in that direction.
Yeah. And that's always cool when, especially like anime conventions or YouTube or
Mm.
something like this, where people sort of, they're able to peel back the layers of the onion, so to speak, and be like, oh
Right.
wow, that's how you do it, and it's like, wait, I might actually want to do that too. Like that's
Right, and it's the kind of thing where, it sounds so complicated.
Mhm.
Believe me, it does. But like I said with, all the vocal synth stuff, once like you show it to someone and you like sort of, give them the gist of it, um everything else will kind of fall into place. Once you learn the basics, then, you'll have to learn other things, but you'll have less of a hard time doing it.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, that's actually cool though, because it feels like, you list all of these names, and it feels like the way some people talk about you is kind of like up there in that stratosphere in a way too, which took me by surprise, considering the first time I met you was at an IHOP. So I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
It's crazy for me. The way that I, describe to people the relationship that I have with the vocal synthesizer community, it my roots run deep. My roots run very deep. And I could you could never give me any amount of money that would properly be able to I'll go up on the highest mountain in the world and like scream to the heavens about how much I love the vocal synthesizer community, how important it is to me. Even, I'm not as present in it. I more nowadays am an observer and a viewer. I do, I have made some stuff recently, which has been very fun. Um, but yeah, I feel like where I am now, just in my life in general, um, I just feel like that's okay to, step back and like watch.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, and I mean,
so much of my life has been like doing. Now I want to watch.
yeah, and I always say this to like all of my other friends that are like creatives, or they have like bunch of different hobbies, but like it doesn't, or at least the way I think of it is, you don't have to always like, this is the one thing that defines you. I find
Right.
it's always like the combination of all those things. So it's K-pop, it's
Yeah.
J-pop, it's Vocaloid, it's synthesizer, it's music production, it's all of that stuff that ends up,
Right.
forming your identity, and I don't really feel that ever disappears.
Yeah. I feel like as time has passed, really it has kind of as constant, as of a presence as it's been, in my life, it, takes different forms with the passage of time. There are different things that, pique my interest a little more, at one point in time versus, far later on. Um I might not be as into that thing, but it'll still, I'll still remember it. I'm very bad at forgetting things.
Same. Like sometimes sometimes something that I used to really be into would pop up like out of nowhere, whether that be on like social media or just like I randomly remember it at
Oh, and it
like
punches
two
you
in
in
the
the gut.
morning, and I'm just like, whoa, wait.
Oh, it punches you in the gut. I had that happen recently.
Oh
This
boy,
is such a
share with the
this is such a
class.
great story. I will absolutely share with the class. So I scrolling through Instagram Reels, as you do. And an account popped up. It was like VHS tape nostalgia. So it was like uploading, clips that were from like VHS tapes from, like 90s 2000s.
Yeah.
And this thing that I came across, it was so deep in the back of my memory. It was a clip from like a baby sensory video that my mom would put on for me as a child.
Like,
And
how did they
when I
even
it
find
was
that?
dude, I don't know. I don't know. But I just like I don't know. It was like I was scrolling through Instagram and this thing pops up. And immediately I knew what it was. And it like I don't know, it just like turned my whole world upside down because I didn't even know that like any footage of that existed on the internet.
Just like it went down like lost media or something like that.
Oh my god, it was so crazy. And then I just went on the account and I was like looking, and every time I saw something I recognized, I would sit and I would watch it, and I'd be like, "Oh my fucking god."
That's definitely crazy. Like,
Yes.
I regret that my mom threw out, or not. I don't think she threw out. She like donated all of our VHS tapes, and
Oh no.
once like technology progressed after a
Right.
certain point, so
Well,
I don't have any of those
that
things.
I'm telling you, when those come back at you, because it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when.
I mean, it already
When
is
those
kind of.
come, yeah, right. Well, when they show up in your life again, it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So be warned.
Trust me, I'm about to turn 32. Like I am in the oh god, everything's nostalgic phase of my life.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
don't know.
so
I see. Oh, sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
I don't know. I see people on Twitter talk about like 2015 being vintage.
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy.
dude, what the fuck are we doing
Where
here?
where did the past 10 years go? I swear,
Right.
I thought 2015 was like last week.
That's what I'm saying. But anyways, back to what you were saying.
All right, now I think we can start going through your discography, or like,
Yes, we may.
yeah. So like, I only know a few songs, so if you wanted to just whatever interests you, it doesn't have to be every song, but like,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, just run me through it.
Okay, so the very first thing that I did with the Kaiga Idol scene, um 2017, um I began working with a group called Stellar.
Not the K-pop.
Not the K-pop group. Um Unfortunately not the K-pop group. And that was kind of my first footing into doing things with and for other people. So when I first started working with them, and you gotta understand that I had just turned 16 when this happened.
Which still blows my
I
mind. Like I wasn't like
Yeah.
I was struggling in math class when I was 16. You're producing music.
Oh yeah, I was doing that too. There are two wolves inside of me. One is really bad at math, and one is really good at music.
It's, you know that meme. It's
Yeah.
like, why did I get the music production autism and not the math?
That's what I'm saying, right? Why couldn't I have been good at like math or something fucking useful? But yeah, so my first Kai Idol work was with Stellar. I was kind of like their, I don't know if producer in house is the right word to use, but I did a lot of their music. Um, it is kind of an open secret within the Kai Idol scene, and I'm not going to go too much into this for reasons you will soon find out. Um, I had a bit of a falling out with
Yep.
the organizer of that group. Um, and as such, I have not spoken to that person since 2020. I would like to keep it that way.
Sounds good to me.
And that's all I'll say on that. Because that's all I got. That's all the public gets. But yeah, so I had finished, working with Stellar, and then there was an offshoot group, Astrial, that I really was their producer in house. And they, coming right out of Stellar, and then also, I'm graduating high school, starting college while this is happening. So my life is going crazy, crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
like a lot of
But
change.
also this thing is happening. So I just, even though things happened with Stellar the way that they did, I do have a lot of love in my heart for all of those people. I still talk to some of them pretty regularly. And one of them, may I say, recently told me that they started producing music because of me.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
to have that kind of impact on people, even, 5,
Years
6
after,
years,
right?
7 years down the line, it's a very heartwarming feeling. Especially because, as far as like a situation like that specifically, you know, I worked it out in my own time. You know, I worked it out on my end. So you know, I experienced it in the way that I experienced it. But to know that there is still that love there is just, I feel like it is so special to me, because that was really when I started to like really go way off the beaten path and like mess around and like just have a lot of fun with producing music. Cuz I had like probably a year and a half before, was when I got into Dempagumi Inc. So now I have a new thing to like base my music off of. And yeah, it was, you know, for what it was just such a special thing. Um, and all my love to all Stellar, all always and forever. Um, I don't know if any of them are watching, but all my love to them. They already know that. Um, but following
That's an
that,
awesome that's an awesome story, by the way. I'll let you
yeah,
take a
thank
drink. I
you.
saw you were going for the
Yeah,
water.
over the water.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I've definitely had interactions like that too, where you're like something you did like years ago, and somebody would be like, "Hey, like wow,
Right,
you actually had an influence." Like I had that with Truly Daybach, where somebody would be like, "Whoa, you exposed me to all these new different types of artists that I'd never listened
right.
to," and like that hits you right in the kokoro.
Right, because it's also like you don't know what that does to those people.
Hmm.
You know, that could be someone's, you know, escape from a really bad situation. That could be someone's, you know, the soundtrack to their wedding day. That could be like it like there's so many possibilities with like what it could be. So, you know, it's just it's so beautiful, I feel like. Um but following my works with Stellar and with Astrial, um on my 18th birthday, I received an email from the director of Interlunium asking me if I wanted to write a song for them. And obviously I was like, hell fucking yeah, I do.
Yeah, and
Um,
like for
I was
I
like,
don't know if
what else
Interludium's a
would you
deep
say to that?
like I don't know if Interludium's kind of a deep cut for some people, but considering the names that are on Interludium, like you had Lily
Oh
Pichu,
my
you
god,
had
it's
Kelly
crazy. It's
Mills.
crazy. And I had been a listener and a fan prior to receiving this email. So this was like, oh my god, this is crazy. This is huge. Of course I'm going to take the opportunity. So, you know, we got into contact on Discord. You know, it was probably, I don't even know how long it was between the initial email and the release of the song. Um, because I know Electric Blue Supernova ended up coming out during like COVID times.
Hmm.
I just don't remember specifically when off the top of my head. But um I you know, they told me what they wanted, like what sound they wanted. And usually when I get a thing from someone that's like, "Oh, I want you to, you know, produce for me." My first thing that I do is I'll go through my files and see if I have anything that will work, that fits the criteria.
Yeah.
Um, Conveniently, I had an unused Stellar song sitting in a corner of my computer. I sent it over and they really liked it. And yeah, I'd say probably like a year and change later, Electric Blue Supernova's out.
Wow. Like, have you
I
told
also think
anyone that
that is the first.
it was an unused Stellar song before? Or?
It wasn't on. I was gonna say. I feel like that's the first time I've ever announced it publicly that Electric Blue Supernova was meant for Stellar in its inception. But I will say, um, I really, you know, the work that was put into it after Stellar, I feel like was stuff that I couldn't have done on my own.
Mhm.
You know, it was that experience that really gave me the idea of like, oh, I feel like I work pretty good in a group of people. You know, everybody does one or like two things instead of one person doing everything,
Yeah.
which, you know, was what I was used to. And you know, I'm sure, you know, all creatives can understand this. I have had my struggles with burnout.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
you know, I feel like that comes from, you know, in Vocaloid world, you'll see a lot of producers who are kind of jack of all trades. So, you know, they can just blink and have all their stuff done. So I would feel a lot of times like I'm comparing myself to that.
Oh, all
So
the time.
and you know, it's something you learn to shake with time, but like in the moment it is kind of world shattering. Um, but yeah, so Electric Blue Supernova, I truthfully consider it to be my magnum opus.
Me too.
If there were to be one, it would be that. And then you know, I don't really fix myself to a project now. I do have people that I work with, you know, more regularly. One of those being Stardust Passion. Um, for them, I kind of take on a role as more of a music director rather than just a producer, because like yeah, I make the music, but like um I you know I'm not the only music guy anymore. I'm not the only producer there is. And you know, because I have connections to not only Vocaloid producers, but Kaigai Idol music producers, I just have such a larger pool of people to, you know, if me and the Star Pass members, we all put our heads together and we're like, let's message this person. We like their music and we want one. Um, I usually am the person who will draft up the message, and you know, I'll kind of gather up a producer's, you know, works. Um, just because I know how I felt being the only guy who was making the music.
Yeah,
And it
it's a lot of
sucked.
pressure.
So, you know, if I can avoid it, I really would like to. And I also just feel like that already, you know, there's far more sonic diversity
Yeah, definitely.
with, you know, with like different producers, because also different producers, different digital audio workstations, different ways that they work. You know, um, when I made the demo for Electric Blue Supernova, every single instrument I used was MIDI,
Mm.
and then the guitar parts, because you know it's a rock heavy song.
Yeah.
The guitar parts were then played on an actual guitar.
Ooh, now that's sick. I like when
So
you
it,
sort
so
of
it's
mix and match like that.
right, and it was, you know, for me personally, because this was how, you know, it sounded. You know, when the initial demo was sent to them, it was a pretty full song already. So there wasn't really much work they had to do of like coming up with new stuff to put in there. But you know, a lot of the charm of that song comes with the audience calls.
Oh yeah, that's the
I
best.
feel like
Honestly, that's the best part.
uh,
And like,
it's something that's so fun. And um, fun fact, I am in the crowd in that song.
oh wow,
I am in the
that's
crowd in that song. Cause it's just like, what the hell was I gonna not do
yeah,
that? Absolutely, I'm gonna do that.
that's awesome. Yeah,
But it's just like it's something that's so fun. And another contribution that I actually made to Electric Blue Supernova, when the character Akira Hoshino, when she spells her name out in the rap verse, that was me. That was me. So I made a rap verse for it. Because I knew I wanted a rap to go there. And the director, who, by the way, Caitlin Myers,
absolute
all
genius.
the glory, all the glory and the power in the world goes to Caitlin Myers. May I just say, what a woman to work with. And I mean, you know, in that setting, you know, coming into it so young, I did feel very taken care of. So, you know, there's always just such a warmth that, you know, I feel when I like look at Interlunium stuff, you know, even listening to the songs that aren't mine, there's always just such a warmth to it.
Yeah, you can tell.
And
You can tell that they really care. Like they didn't.
they
Like
do.
every single person involved in that project, they have a bunch of other stuff to do. It's they specifically went out of their way to
They
try
went
and
out of
do.
their way to do it, which is just like and for those people, no less, like that's a little crazy.
Yeah,
But after, you know, Interlunium, Star Pass happens, and pretty immediately I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Just because Adora, the leader of Star Pass, and we've been very good friends since 2019. So it was, yeah, for that group it was a pretty immediate, decision for me. Um, and their debut track, that I've been cooking up, um, in its original form, was my final for my associate's degree.
Wha- That's actually, wait. That was actually like a you had to do that for school.
Uh-huh. That's how it started. And then once Star Pass was trying to like figure out, what they wanted to do for a debut, because I was gonna make them something completely from scratch originally. Um, and then I sent them an older version, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And it was probably seconds before Adora was like, "That's the one. That's our song." And I
Like
was like,
knew
"Okay."
immediately.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it is one of my favorite things I've ever written. I think, and one can have two magnum opuses, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's
So
that's like how people are like, oh, you can only have one Oshi or one bias. I'm like,
that's
you know how many
that's
people I
literally what
have?
I was just about to compare it
Even
to,
with
bro.
one group, I have like 5 people that are like my bias or
Right,
Oshi.
right. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to make. And there's been a lot of love that's gone into it. It I began making that song roughly 3 years ago.
That's that's a lot of work to put into one song.
That
That's
is a lot of work. And it's, I say that, but it must be understood that it's not the kind of thing where I'm like every single day I'm working
yeah.
on it and tweaking on it and like stuff like that. But the start of it factually, yes, was 3 years ago. And something that I think has been really cool, um as my ears have sharpened up and I've gained more musical knowledge, then when I go back and I listen to some of these after a really 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 long time, not only do I know what to fix, but sometimes I do end up hearing things that I didn't even know were there. Even
You
though I did
shock
make
yourself
even e- even
sometimes.
though even though I did make the song, like sometimes I do end up like psyching myself out like that.
Mm,
But yeah, so Star Pass is cooking.
indeed.
That's all I'll say on that. Hint hint wink wink. Um but yeah, now I just fuck around for fun. I think, like I have stuff that I want to do for myself. Um, but I'm in big boy school now. I don't have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Is something that I've had to come to terms with recently. Um, with regards to Miracle Beat, because something that we are experiencing as a unit right now, um, we have never been active at a time where every single person in the group has been an adult.
Mm. So
Um,
yeah, different dynamic at that point.
so it's a little different dynamic. But it's also like some of these people have been in the group since its inception, or maybe like a year later. So they've been around like like for a long time. It's
Yeah,
people that I've known
they
for a
they
long time.
basically grew up in
Um,
it.
yeah, yeah, and it's just like it's weird. But on that note, may I share a little something?
Go for it.
Okay. So if you follow Miracle Beat on Instagram, you may know that last year, we held a public audition. Um, and then very promptly went completely radio silent. Um, after making those posts. Um, Not for lack of working on stuff, I would like to say. It is with great pleasure that I announce. I'm gonna give a broad time frame here, just because we're still working out some of the specifics. Within the next 6 months, Both of the audition winners will be making their debuts within Miracle Beat, and I will
Woo!
be in both of them.
That's
And
exciting.
they're a very unique pair. They come from very different backgrounds. But the way that they mesh in with the rest of the group has been really, really fun to watch. Because I generally don't do like open, audition
Yeah,
super, super often, just because it's also like I really I like to, I don't know, a lot of times before it would be like me asking, people that I know.
yeah. Just
Like
friends,
people
like,
that I know.
hey,
If we
you
ever
want
like
to do
needed a
this?
spot filled. Right. And I don't know, I felt like we were due for a shakeup. And, these guys, I apologize to them all the time for, keeping them waiting for so long. But I am excited. They are excited. And I hope everybody else is excited as well. Um, MiracleBeat_dance on Instagram. I don't know when announcements are coming up. Because I haven't made them yet. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And, like I know how long you've been doing that side of things too. So,
Yeah.
that's cool that obviously like and I know working off the cuff here, but like I know you've always done like Castle Point with
Yes.
is that in the works this year?
Yes. Castle Point in the
Okay.
works. In a admittedly, it's not something that we haven't done before. It's just not our usual.
Ooh.
That's all I'll say.
Mysterious. All right. All right.
The only absolute detail I will give, it does involve me putting on a wig. That is the only thing I can confirm for certain. And I had to buy a new pair of shoes just for this costume. So
Okay.
everybody better be excited about this.
Yeah, but I mean like I'm sad that you have to wear it. You dyed your hair black, and now you just have
Yeah.
to cover it up with a wig, like all your
Well,
hard
I
work.
mean, I got a couple months before this happens,
Okay.
so it could look different by that time. It could look some, crazy sort of like faded like black color
All
by
right.
the time it happens.
So do we want to start playing the unreleased ones, or is that time?
I believe it is time.
Okay.
I so I would like to share with everyone that what you are about to hear are two unreleased pieces of music that I, have been working on. One of them has been announced to the public. It is Starpass's debut track. The other has not been spoken about anywhere, but it is the song that does interpolate a I don't know if popular is the word that I would use. A very well-known overseas idol song. And after it plays, I will tell everybody what song it is.
All right. So you guys hear that? Idolize exclusive. You know what, like radio
Idolize
DJs, they like
exclusive. Idolize world premiere.
world premiere. Oh god. Okay, so I don't think you're able to hear it because it's on my desktop, but the audience will hear it. So,
The audience.
I'm
Well, I already know what they sound like, so
yeah, no, just so like you're not sitting there in silence for the rest of the
right.
eternity. All right, so let's start with the first one. This is the Starpass debut song.
Yes.
Take a listen.
Take a listen.
Honestly, I love this. Like,
Yeah, I knew.
I just kept
knew you
replaying this.
would. I knew you would. Yeah. And I said this. I like you specifically. I knew are really cool. And I'm sure it won't come as a surprise to you at all. It is very heavily K-pop inspired.
Oh, 100%. And not even just K-pop inspired. Like, so, okay, that was the first song.
Yes.
So specifically, like, one of my favorite producer, or some of my favorite production styles in K-pop specifically are things that are very disco inspired. So anything by Black Eyed Pilsung, anything by, like there's a lot of different producers that really pull
Right.
from disco and like all these like
Mhm.
very retro sounds and somehow make it sound like a brand new song or just very
Right.
modern. And the first time the first time I heard that was last night, and I was just like, okay, I immediately get it.
Yeah, it's I because Adora is very big into K-pop. So when we were picking out trying to figure out what to do for Star Pass's debut, I was like, okay, I think this will go over well. Just cuz like I already know her tastes pretty well. So I sent it and I was like, yeah, this is a shoe-in.
Mm. I mean, like I'm just just hearing that instrumental, I'm excited. I can't imagine.
Include.
Like I don't know if they're into like doing intense like choreography, but I can already imagine like what kind
Oh,
of
listen.
choreography you could
Oh,
do
I
that.
gotta tell you, and I have made this clear to them. For this song, I'm putting them to work.
Oh yeah,
This is not, when I wrote it, it was not meant to be an easy song.
does
I
not sound easy
know
in all honesty.
it was yeah, that's the point. I I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I feel like that sound specifically is something that you don't really hear in a lot of Kaigai idols.
Oh yeah,
So, right. And I know, the long, long chronicled K-pop versus J-pop
yeah,
debate. So by the grace of God, this will mix both of those worlds.
which is
Because, for me,
yeah,
both of them are so relevant and so important that like if they could do this, it would be the joy of my life.
yeah. Like that's honestly those types of songs are like the ones I love the most. I love K-pop songs
Yeah.
that sound very J-pop inspired. I love J-pop songs
Yeah.
that sound very K-pop
That's
inspired.
not right. There you go.
The funny thing is like even though there's like the big debate like oh like I like one better than the other, you're like it's funny a lot of the same producers end up working on both sides of the aisle, so to
That
speak.
is, yes, I do know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, my like absolute dream like J-pop to K-pop crossover. I mean, we gotta get Tsunku on an Artemis song.
Yes.
Like we gotta get the Hello Project guys on a fucking Artemis Luna track.
If
I,
if Jaden's willing to
I
share.
need that for me.
If Jaden's
I
willing to
don't
share.
care if anybody else wants that. I need that for me. So
uh
pardon my self-indulgence here.
no, I'm with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
And on that same note, like now I'm thinking about it, I know Otto already dipped their toes into like working with Le Seraphim. I need like Phantom Sita, but as a K-pop group, or just like
Yeah,
some type of thing that she's produced, but like for like because I feel like it like she knows how to
I agree
cook.
with right. I think, something that I know about Phantom Sita is that a lot of the producers that do their music are Vocaloid producers. So, that
Not surprising.
overlap yeah, of course not. That overlap with K-pop I think could be really, really interesting. And with the impending release of Uni for Synthesizer V2, I think a vocal synth resurgence in Korea is very possible.
I mean, like Espa already basically has Nevis. So like but I want a real
like
one. I don't want like some weird
yeah.
AI.
Right. Right. But yeah, I feel like it is very possible that, resurgence could, come from that. And then having the mishmash of, the worldwide Vocaloid culture that already exists, with this like obviously it hasn't happened yet, so I can't like say like, oh, this, however this like new Korean vocal synth culture that develops from Uni SV2, um, the mishmash of them I think would be really, really cool.
Yeah,
I think it would be very interesting to see.
yeah, no, I definitely be looking forward to hearing what people start cooking up once that
Oh, of
drops.
course.
All right, so song number 2. This was the
Song number 2, my big secret.
yeah, this is the actual Idolize exclusive. So
This is the actual Idolize exclusive. I don't know where this is going yet. Ando knows. But I'm not saying it publicly.
oh,
So I don't know where this is going, but stay tuned.
stay tuned, definitely. All right,
Yeah.
so this is your world exclusive premiere of
This is my exclusive world
unreleased
premiere
song.
of an unreleased song. Yes.
All right, all right, listen to this. Ooh, ooh. I already like what I'm. Yeah, no, like that's good.
Because I can't hear it on my end. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh. I don't want to say Wuju Sanyo.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah! Well, the beginning is like very boogie up-ish, so like I do get it.
Yeah. All right, that's all you guys get to hear. Sorry.
Accidental summer song in the key of G major be like boogie up.
Yeah, I know. Like, you know what? That's something. That's something Kaigai idols need to get into. We need summer songs. We need our.
Yes.
We need our boogie ups. We need
would,
our like.
I would go fucking crazy for like Kai Guy Idol like summer songs. And as I've been hinting about this whole time, that little snippet that you just heard interpolates an overseas idol song. And it was that specific little snippet that I picked specifically for that reason. That song interpolates "Bright Future" by Stellar.
Oh wow! So no wonder you. Yeah. So you interpolated something that you worked. That's cool. I mean, that's kind of like how
Well, that was let me point this out. That was before I got on board with Stellar. But so how this happened, I was making the song, and I was listening back to it, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds like Bright Future. I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? So I reached out to the person who produced Bright Future on Instagram because we're mutuals, and I was like, "Hey, I made a song and it's accidentally Bright Future. And if I would love to like give you songwriting credit on this. Um, just for like credit's sake. Um,
yeah.
I'll give you however much money you want. Um, and she was like, one, you don't need to give me money. Two, cool.
Oh, so nice. Oh my god, that honestly, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's like it ties. It almost comes full circle when in terms of like, oh, Cell is like part of your past, and now you're bringing that with the Star Pass, and you're
Right.
essentially like sort of melding like all different parts of your like production history and production life.
Yes, even though, Stellar is a figment of the past, and, I would like to keep it that way. But it just to who I am as, an artist, as a person, that stretch of time is really so important. In that time, I learned a lot of things about myself. I learned a lot of things about music. So, regardless of, the terms that I ended on there, I really am very appreciative of, that experience. And that was also when I started going to convention masquerades.
Oh, so like
Like
right around that period.
that's why that happened. Yeah, because they would like make the costumes and like style the wigs and like perform like an idol group in a masquerade. So and I would just like go to support them.
Hmm. But honestly, yeah, that's cool. Thank you again for sharing all of this music, not just with me,
Of
but with the
course.
world. Like,
Yes, of course.
I know, like it's very, it can be very scary to share things that aren't finished.
Yeah,
Like
it
I know
can.
that's
It sure
me.
can. Yeah.
But I mean, what I've heard so far is, like certified banger. In all honesty,
Thank you, pal.
yeah, and honestly, yeah, like that's the thing is like you know, honestly, like you definitely have a very unique style when it comes
Mhm.
to like music production. I love that you take all these different, I think it's smart to sort of take influences and inspiration from
Mhm.
different, not just different cultures, different styles of music, things that are
Yeah.
kind of outside what your normal or what your typical audience is. And you can
Yeah.
definitely, as a music appreciator or semi-professional music appreciator for what, like since 2017 when I did Truly Debut,
Yeah.
like I can definitely tell, the love and like the work that you put into your craft. So
Thank you.
with that being said, all right, you were taking a 3-pointer from the moon just to get on here onto
Yes,
Idolize.
I surely did.
Call you,
Literally, that's what it was. That is 100% factually how I got on this show. And it worked.
of course, I would
So
have
you
won
know,
it.
so you know
Like,
what?
you know how many
I
people
I
messaged me like in Pond Ranger's birthday live server, they're like, "Hey Ando, you know this person's like asking to be on Idolize," and then Aiden was like, "Oh my gosh, Ray!" Like, and then no, and then Eggy was like, "Wait, well, who do you know this person that's asking for?" I was like, "Yeah, that's Ray," and like that's the thing. It was just so funny, like, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll keep it a secret. He's probably not. He's on the plane right now, but Loki Eggy was super hyped that like somebody was actually like calling their shot to be on the show. Where it's
Calling their
usually
shot
just
right.
like
The
usually
other
it's
way
just like,
around.
hey, please come on Idolize, and you
Yeah.
know yeah, and the work that he's put in for the past year, I know that like that means a lot to
Oh,
him
of course. Yeah.
for people like willing and to come on
Correct.
and share their story. So that being said,
Yes.
time for you to call your shots again. Who do you want? What's your dream artist you want to work with? Like any doesn't have to be Kai Guy, doesn't have to be like
Doesn't have
anything,
to be
like
anything.
anyone.
Anything. No constraints at all.
Nope, no constraints.
No constraints at all. Okay. I would say, um, I'm gonna give two answers because I do have two answers here. One of them is more geared towards Idol. One of them is like my actual. I am so enamored by the brain of this person that if I was ever in a room with them, I would probably pass out.
Wow.
So, and that has been a very recent development, but it has really kind of taken a chokehold on me. So for the Idol collaboration, um, my dream collaboration would be, believe it or not, Meme Tokyo.
Oh,
And this is actually something that I have spoken to one of their members about.
let's do it. Let's do it. All
Um,
right, all right. We got
let's
now
do
that
it.
now
Yes,
that it's in the ether, we have to. We gotta make this
we gotta do
happen.
it right. Right. So I would like to show you from my little cell phone here. This is a checky from Soli of Meme Tokyo,
Ah,
and written on it says in Japanese, "I'm so glad to finally meet you. I hope you can make a song for Meme one day."
y-
So I
fingers
would
crossed.
because I participated in a lot of their like limited stand signing events, like
Mm,
the online. So like they knew me by name,
that's
but
cool.
that was the first time that like she had ever seen my face or we had like had a conversation.
Mm,
Um I mean, she's just such a peach. I love her to bits. And to hear, her say that like, "Oh, I think it would be really cool, if you made a song for us one day." Which like she doesn't even know the layers of like I am very like musically educated and like I do understand that there was probably a little fan service in there. It
nah,
just
nah. You
like
got it.
the ego
You
the
gotta
ego
believe.
boost
You
that I
gotta
got from
believe.
that. I gotta believe the ego boost that I got from that. You gotta understand is like incomparable to really anything else I have ever felt.
Yep.
Not even it was a completely different like when I saw Morning Musume, for example. That was like I was on the fucking moon. But it was a very different feeling from one of my favorite idols saying like I want you to make me a song.
Yeah. That's
Like
like
what the fuck? So that's my idol answer. My non-artist, my non-idol answer. And this is if you want to talk about taking a shot from the moon, Kendrick Lamar.
Whoa. No. You gotta divulge on this. That's crazy.
Yes.
K-Dot.
Yes. So relatively recent development in my life. I have been, uh, you know, I watched the Super Bowl performance. Like you
Who
do.
who
Um,
hasn't? Honestly, who hasn't?
who hasn't? Right? Who has not? So I watched Super Bowl performance. Um, and I was like, oh, this music is kind of good, but also like he just like up there, he looked like he was having a lot of fun, which I think
Oh,
also, sold
definitely.
it for me. So and truthfully, I hadn't heard like the studio version of Not Like Us. I had only heard like little clips of it.
Yeah.
Um, I knew like Humble, I knew like the popular stuff, like the really popular stuff. Um, but after the Super Bowl, I was actually listening to it before we started the stream. GNX,
Yeah.
his newest album.
Awesome album.
Um, and I literally I don't know, I was just like picking, random songs. The last one, Gloria,
Yeah.
that was the one that sold me. Because I feel like a lot of like when I as someone who doesn't really listen to a lot of rap music, um think of like what that sounds like in the modern, in the people that come up now and like the underground sound. It's a lot of distortion, a lot of like, really loud and like, you know kind of sounds.
You can just say
But
Death Grips.
I'm not just talking about Death Grip. I'm not just talking about Death Grip. But there's a lot of, I feel like something that on Gen X, something that Kendrick does really well is just like raw sound.
Mm,
Like obviously, there's EQ put on the instruments, but it's like you can clearly like tell, what you're listening to. And lyrically, what a brain
genius.
he's got.
Yep.
Whatever. And I know that there's like whole college courses about like his penmanship. I know that he is well renowned for his lyrics. But um Man at the Garden, love that fucking song. That's like if I ever like have been needing like a kick in the tuchus to lock in, that's my song.
Oh, definitely. And
Because it's
and also like
because
not just
literally the repeating line in that song is "I deserve it all."
yeah. And another thing with K Dot, like again, just the one thing that you've definitely been able to notice, especially recently, is just how much
Uh-huh.
he values the art of music production. Like,
Right.
obviously, like between like Mustard and like all the
Right.
people that he collaborates with, like um, like my favorite track off of that album, and I feel like is always end up being my favorite track, was the Heart Part 6, because it's just been him basically like literally saying like thank you to all these people that helped me get to where I am. It's
Yeah.
very rare for people to show that, especially in hip hop, to show that kind of
Yeah.
humbleness and like appreciation to the figures in the background that helped them succeed and get to where they are. But like he's like him, J. Cole, Drake,
Mhm.
like they're like that whole generation. Like
Right.
it sort of opened the doors for people to sort of, especially in the hip hop scene, to like especially for men, show more emotion, show more vulnerability,
Right.
show more, imperfectness, instead of just everything being very bravado or,
Right.
having to show off like that success. Like that's definitely some of the biggest contributions he's had to music, and
Right.
it's why they're some of my favorite artists.
Yeah, and I feel like, from like the perspective of someone who doesn't really listen to this kind of music super super often, it just like it is such a vast world within, the little niche that it takes up.
Mhm.
Little niche, I say that, very loosely because I am aware of how popular those people are. I don't worry. But like within, the space that they fill, that space is very wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, even like as I was listening to GNX for the first time, I was like, what the hell do you mean? Like all these songs are on the same album.
Reason he
It
won the
just
Grammy, in all honesty. Like that's not even just them like riding the hype train. It's legitimately
right.
one of Kendrick's best albums, and
It's so
fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Like I know, like you'd be surprised what kind of weird stuff Kendrick is into, or like what kind of weird references he's in. So,
I love weird
God
shit in
knows.
music. I love weird shit in music.
So
I
who knows
love
if he
weird shit in
he's
music.
actually listened to Vocaloid or like synth, like all this
You
weird
know
like
what?
offbeat stuff.
Well, I mean, in Synthesizer V, there are some vocals that are developed specifically for rap.
Yeah.
So not too,
Yeah, not
not
the
too
craziest
crazy.
thing I've ever heard. Honestly,
Right,
that'd be
not at
sick.
all.
And like if there's anyone that can do it, I think it's you, Ray. So
You think I'm the guy? Thank
yeah,
you.
you're the guy. You're the guy that'll be able to meld synthesizer V music,
Oh, you
Vocaloid,
know what?
and hip hop and
Yeah,
West Coast hip hop.
I'll tune K Dot a little thing.
All
I'll tune him a
right.
little something if he wants.
Yeah, just shoot down to the ether. All right, so
Yes.
before we close this out, I usually like to ask the guests, I guess just like how people can sort of if they're interested in whatever
Mhm.
their topic is specifically. So, I did it with Wotage with Ashes and Scrub.
Yeah.
So, if people are interested in, if you've convinced them enough to like, damn, I want to start producing my own music. I don't know how to
Mhm.
do like I don't know how to use X
Right.
program or I don't know how to like make a stem. Like what would you say would be like the best way to just start learning?
So this is a great question. Um, I feel like the way that I started producing music for the environment that I was in, it made a lot of sense. But, I know not everybody, comes from that background. So the best thing that I can suggest is this is going to sound blunt, but this is literally what you got to do. Go on Google, look up like digital audio workstation for beginners. You'll find like BandLab, Mixcraft, FL Studio. Which fun fact, FL Studio is what I have been using since I was 14 years old.
And you
So
can
it is a
still
program that I
produce
know
crazy
very
stuff.
well.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just
Familiarity I
like,
feel like is like
yeah, and it's
important.
just
Oh,
like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You
mhm.
know. Um, I've learned other programs, as time has passed. Um, and for StarPass's debut, fun fact, I made it in Logic Pro, but I did all of the mixing and mastering for it in FL. So
That's cool.
I rendered those stems and I sent them to myself so that they could be on my big computer. But yeah, as far as like learning how to do the music part, because there's only so much that you can do if you don't really know music. um I always tell people you gotta learn music theory, even if it's like baby stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta learn it. It's and it's not a requirement. I do know people who have admitted to not knowing music theory. Creep P, one of the Vocaloid producers I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, they just had a collaboration drop with Aisha Erotica.
Mm,
I don't know if you know
yeah,
who that is.
not as familiar, but I mean, I'm sure anyone that
I
works
don't
with
know.
creepy is
I don't know. She
insane.
makes gay people music, so that's who that's for. I don't know, but if I said that to a like gay person, they'd probably fucking explode. Um, which I mean, for me, obviously, as someone who's like known about like Aisha Erotica probably since I was like 15.
Wow, they've been around that long?
That's just like, yeah, yeah. Cause I don't know. I think she did music on Tumblr for a little bit. I don't know, because I remember she was like big on Tumblr. I don't know. I am not the Aisha Erotica historian by any means. There are definitely people who know better than I do. But anyways, yeah, I think learning music theory is pretty, a bulk of it. Um, But, there are certain types of music where it's not fully, the focus of like if it's just like drums, for example.
Mm.
You're not gonna have to know what chords are if you're playing the drums. Um, but there are, and obviously, you don't have to learn everything at once. There are certain situations where certain things, will pop up. Will, I something that I've noticed is that I make the music, and then later on when I go back and I listen, then I like, oh, I hear this, and I hear this thing, and I hear these chords and this like chord progression. Um and that, you know, for me, because I guess it comes naturally. Um I don't really think about it from like the theoretical perspective until like I'm done making it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I want the sound to be right first, and then I feel like I have more brain power to focus on like the technicality.
Yeah. Yeah. Just gotta flesh it out, figure out what you want it to be before you basically just deconstruct it or like dig
Yeah.
that deep into it. Like I feel I'm definitely the same way with photography. Like sometimes I'll just like, okay, I'll just move a bunch of sliders around. And it's like, oh wait, that's
Yeah.
actually good. And then it's like, okay, now I can fix it. Now that you can fix
Yeah,
it.
it's a lot of I might have said this before, I don't remember. It's a lot of trial and error. So if music is something that you're pursuing, you're gonna have some days where no matter what you do, sounds just might not sound.
Right.
It happens. It happens. And as you learn to, as you learn the music side of it more, then you kind of like play around, with like all of the different, MIDI instruments and stuff. Then you'll be able to figure out what fits together well. Because as much as like the music is important, the sound of it, the like timbre is just as important. So,
Definitely.
you do have to consider both when you're, making. And you got to give yourself time.
Yeah.
It is not an overnight, thing.
Yep.
So
Learned that the hard way.
just there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So like it is going to be very easy to like be hard on yourself. You just have to not. You just have to not do that. And I know it's easier said than done. You just have to not do it.
Yep. That's just great life advice in general, in all
Yeah.
honesty. And I think I'll put this into the ether because I'm not 100% sure if it's
Mhm.
being done already. But I know with K-pop a lot because a lot of the producers that I don't want to call that I'm friends with that I know like Andreas
Yeah.
Oberg and like Daniel Obi Klein and Charlie Taft, like they'd
Pause.
always
Stop. Stop.
okay,
You know Charlie Taft and Daniel Obi Klein.
like whenever I like whenever we do the podcast, we'd always like talk about like, oh, they're one of our favorite producers, and like they'd actually like
Bro,
tweet back
bro,
at us.
bro. That pair of people specifically, they made Eclipse by Kim Lip.
Yeah, yeah,
One of my favorite fucking
one of the
songs
greatest
of
songs of all
all
time.
time. Of all time. Oh my god. So that's just like you said that, and I was like, I had to stop you for a minute.
Yeah, no, but yeah, so like they're so a lot of them they fly to Korea. They do like
Mhm.
songwriting camps, and
Songwriting
then
camps, yeah.
yeah, and that's how they end up like meeting other producers, or that's how they figure out like, oh, this would be good for this group or whatever.
Right.
We need Kaigai idol music camps or just like creative like sessions or just like seeing
Yeah,
like
I think, I've tried to organize these before. Because it's been such a dream of mine, and I feel like it stems from, with Interlunium feeling like I work better in a team.
mm,
So, if I can kind of like assemble the Avengers where it's like a couple people, are like they do I don't know, they do like the beat, or like somebody else does the bass line, or like some kind of like distribution where it's like everybody is doing a thing, but it's also like everybody is doing a thing that they're good at.
Yeah.
So, it would also be like finding out what, what those people excel at, which I think, it would be so fun.
Yeah.
So,
So
if anybody is interested, if anybody would want to participate in that,
I mean,
please
yeah,
DM
definitely.
me on
Like it'd
Instagram.
be a great idea, and like I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be interested too, or that even just like want to learn how or get started just producing music for Kaigai idols, because I know like people
Yeah,
are always they always need the help, or they could always use the
that is true.
assistance when it comes to like, because music production especially, or just getting original music is
It is
expensive.
not an
So
easy feat by any means. Yeah,
and it's
I
not easy.
know. It's like even, for me, for like my stuff, um, when I every so often have the thought of like, oh, what if I like did a solo debut? And I like look for, other producers that I might want to work with. Um, and it's a few $100 that I definitely don't have at the time that I'm having these thoughts. Um, I don't know, it's just like sometimes it's okay to learn to do things yourself.
Yeah. And on that note, I think that'll close out this episode of Idolize.
Yeah,
Again, thank you so much again, Ray, for coming on the
of
show.
course.
You're like very insightful, and I hope people just start blowing up your DMs and being like, please produce a song for me, produce a song. And you're like, no, I'm too busy with Star Pass.
You want that for me. I don't want that.
Am I putting too much work on your plate?
Only this much. Only this much. Because
All right,
sometimes I can deal. So
all right. Was there anyone that you wanted to shout out or promo or anything? This is your
yes,
spot.
of course. I gotta give love to Star Pass, Stardust Passion. Um, Within that, Adora Valentine at Idol Adora on Instagram, just announced a project that I am working on. Um, a little tune that I made. So at Idolodora on Instagram, if anybody would go like to listen to that. We're expecting a springtime release for it. And this is something that we've been cooking up for a while. And now we're really excited to finally have it, see the world.
That's
So
awesome.
I got that.
I am seated day
Beat.
one.
Yes, thank you very much. Miracle Beat underscore dance. My group, we've got a lot of exciting things coming up. Like I said before, we got 2 new heads coming in within the next 6 months, and I am very excited for the Kaigai Idol scene to meet them. Um, they're a good pair.
I'm excited to
Um,
meet them. Not even just Kagai.
good. And do I have anybody else to shout out? Think I got it all.
All right, definitely keep an eye out for all of Ray's upcoming projects. Man's like cooking constantly, so
I sure am.
all right, so I'm not 100% sure what next week's episode is going to be. I think it might finally be with Anywaza this time, because I was supposed to do that like 2 weeks ago, but then like I forgot, or like we couldn't sync up like the schedule or whatever. But
Yeah. Well, there's like a bunch of them also, so I get it.
yeah, so all right. Again, Eggy usually does like a pep talk. I do something different. I do the events calendar, because I don't think people should just be listening to this show. They should be going to actual things, right? Makes sense.
Tell it.
All right, so tomorrow, February 22nd, we have Idol Topsy Turvy, which is an online showcase of various Kaigai idols doing performances. I don't know everyone 100%, but like the people I do know that are on there are Ash, MS Paint Palette, Celestia, aka Tama. So
I was gonna say we know the exact same lineup of people on there.
basically, it's just because Ash is also in like Hololive cosplay stuff.
Right.
Palettes
so
and
like there's enough overlap. Right?
Yeah. It's just like the same exact overlap. Speaking of Palette, though, she has like for some reason Pinos in Highland Park loves having Palette like
That
perform.
girl is always doing something. That girl is always doing. I really though, and I say this. I have never seen someone do as much
Yeah,
things
no,
as MSK
always just
Palin.
always grinding. So if
Yes.
you want to see Palette like in person and not even just like on your computer screen, go to Pino's at Highland Park tomorrow. I think it's like from 7 to 10, something like that. Yeah, there's some other artists on the lineup. I'm not sure who they are, but I mean,
Right.
always good to support Palette. March 1st, we have a 1-day pop-up maid cafe from Mati Maho Maids at Tea and Milk in Brooklyn. They have like a few different options. They have, but it's mostly just like you get food, there's a drink, there's performance. If you splurge a bit, you can get a checky. I just say this because I know one of the maids, Akari, is also a singer for like a Kaiga idol band or just like an idol in general. So
Oh.
yeah, definitely go check. I think I might go to this. Yeah, like
Mhm.
yeah, just go check them out. The big one probably for that I always have to keep shilling because I'm involved in this. March 8th in Philadelphia, we have the Pawn Ranger Birthday Live, aka Bread Party 2025. So, VIP tickets just closed this week, but they are GA is still available, and if you are ever so inclined, if you buy a ticket for both Bread Party and Pawn Rangers Offkai, you get a free photo shoot with me. Like I will literally give you a free hour of my time at a convention or wherever, and take your
everybody
photos.
should take advantage of that. Everybody, oh wait, this way. Everybody should take advantage of that.
Yes, especially because so I think there's already like a few people I've talked to. Like I talked to my Urania, they've done they bought both tickets, so that will be upcoming soon. TM. Let me run down the lineup. So I mean, like so far we've gotten, or they just started doing the artist teasers, but people you can expect on at Bread Party 2025. We got Ella with a special guest. I posited that it might be Jeb Bush. Because they put "please clap" on the teaser.
Oh yes, I did see that. I don't know, because I saw your reply to the tweet today, and at first I was like, "The fuck is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Like it exploded into like a whole nother thing. Like Ashes just changed their profile picture on Discord to Jeb Bush.
Oh, to that is it? Oh, to Jeb Bush.
Anyway, so yeah, we got Jeb Bush as a special guest. Maybe we got Ashes making their re-debut and re-graduation before the final re-debut and re-graduation. We got Pengi coming up from Florida. We got Aiden and we got
Damn.
Flair. So and obviously Pawn Ranger. So again, like I said, tickets still available. Please come and support Pawn Ranger. They put a lot of effort into this. And on that note, also tomorrow, Pawn and my other friend Royal are doing a collab stream to help I guess just sell tickets. And I may be involved in this where I think they're putting out a bounty where if somebody buys a ticket, I have to dance on stream. So
you know what? I believe that Royal would not have made it that easy for you to not dance. Just because I know the way that her brain works.
Yep.
And I know that she would not do that.
I know the way that her brain works too at this point. Like, so look forward to that. I'm certainly not. Not just kidding. It'll be fun to hang around with him. And then on Sunday, Aiden's also doing a live stream where the challenge is for every ticket sold, Aiden will divulge one piece of like cursed or never before heard of like Aiden lore. So please, Aiden you have to help Aiden out, or else they're gonna be keeping these secrets inside, and they can't share them unless you buy the tickets.
Listen, my work schedule does not call for me to be able to go to these, but everybody should.
Indeed,
That's what I say.
You will be there in spirit. Don't worry.
I will be there in spirit, yes. And when my semester ends, I will be there in person.
Yeah. All right. And then final one that I have on the radar right now, April 19th, we have Idol Gateway Volume 2.
Woo!
Volume 2. So again, I'm really bad, but like the only one I'm really familiar with is just Celestia and Tama. But I took a look at the rest of the lineup. They seem pretty interesting. And again, like all the people running it, like Pinku and Michael and Aiden,
Right.
like all really good friends. So please
Yeah.
come support them if you're in the DMV area. It's first Idol Gateway was awesome. This one's definitely bound to be just as awesome too. So that being said, all right, that is the actual end of this episode of IDOLEYEZ. Please, again, follow all of the social medias. So that's at Eggy Drago on Twitter and Instagram. Please follow, and if you're ever so inclined, subscribe here on twitch.tv/Eggy Drago if you want to keep up with future shows. If you missed any part of this, or you want to, if you need something on in the background during work, there's a bunch of past episodes you can listen to on youtube.com/ or at IDOLEYEZ101. I had a past episode, so if you're bored and want to hear some random dude listen, like rant on about like the things that they like, click on my episode or another episode. So that being said, thank you again for joining us here on twitch.tv/Eggy Drago. So till the next live stream, same idle time, same idle place here on IDOLEYEZ. We are. See, I'm a streamer now, so we will raid into Pawn Ranger, I believe. Pawn is currently streaming Snake Eater, so stick around for the raid. And like I said before, till next time, listen to music.
Listen to music.